side. Oh, see, I'm still in November. So what is it today?
7.
Okay, thank you. Say it again. Yes, I will pick problems, or you'll pick problems. I'll tell you what, then you pick. I want to start with linear, not linear, but linear. I can't write today, so don't look at anything. Okay, I'm gonna trash that. I can't write, obviously, but I can scare people today. Sorry.
I wasn't sure who was bumping up behind me.
Okay, so I want to look at systems of linear inequalities in two variables. I want you to give me a system of two linear inequalities in two variables.
What chapter is this?
End of chapter 9. Okay, you don't want to give an example? I will then. X minus 2y greater or equal to 4 and 2x minus 3 less than or equal to 1. How do we solve a system of linear inequalities in two variables? What would be the first step? Anyone? Good idea, but I'm not changing them. I need the equation, but you're right, yes. X minus 2y equals 4. Have to find two ordered pairs. When x is 0, how much is y? Good. So y equals negative 2. So 0, negative 2. When y is 0, how much is x? 4. So 4 comma 0. Let's graph. Yes. Perfect. So we have the line 0 comma negative 2. Oh, careful. 0 for x, negative 2 for y. Careful. 0 for x, negative 2 for y. And 4 comma 0. Is this line going to be solid?
Yes.
Yes, because of the equal symbol, right? Good. So this is the equation of x minus 2y equals 4. I want to remind you I will be here on Saturday between 12 and 2. If you would like to review all your tests between now and then, or if you want to pick up your test on Saturday, or so on and so forth. Good. So we graph the equation. This is just the equation. So now I encourage you to use the origin because the line does not pass through the origin. If it passes through the origin, you can't. Okay, so 0, 0. Is 0 greater than or equal to 4? No. So I cannot shade in the area that has 0, 0. I have to shade in the opposite area. So this is x minus 2y greater than or equal to 4. I continue with the second one. Yes?
How do you solve this up or down? Like which side is straight with the line?
I plugged in 0, 0. I'm checking this area, and I got a false statement. I used this point. I got a false statement. I have to shade in the opposite. Is that okay? Okay. So now the second one does not have y. So 2x minus 3 equals 1 means 2x equals 4 or x equals 2. How do I graph the line x equals 2? What type of line is x equals 2? Vertical line at 2. Solid or not?
So
Awesome. So here it is. Oops. Since there is no y, there is no point in using the origin or any other ordered pairs. So what I have to identify is whether we will shade in the right-hand side or the left-hand side. So when you solve this inequality, you get x less than 2. Which area will I shade in? The right-hand side of the red line or the left-hand side of the red line? Left. So this is x less than or equal to 2. Because we are solving a system of linear inequalities, now we have to shade in the intersection, where we see red and green at the same time. This line, this vertex, this line, and everything in between. This is for both. If one line is not solid, then you cannot include the points on that line, but you have to come as close as possible to the points. Okay. Any questions on this? Yes, please.
certain 0 equals 0, you gotta see if it makes the statement true.
Only when you have both variables. When you have only one variable, there is no need. It's either left or right for x equals, or up or down for y equals. So there is no need to use an ordered pair for that. Good. Is that okay? Okay, perfect. I'd like to review a problem from chapter 4, in which we solved systems. Let's look at a word problem. On page 302, let's look at 38. The Forest Theater can seat a total of 360 people. They take in $15,150 when every seat is sold. If orchestra section tickets cost $45 and balcony tickets cost $35, find the number of seats in the orchestra section and the number of seats in the balcony. Chapter 4. How many variables does this problem have? 2 variables. So it means that you are going to give or write 2 equations. I'm ready when you are. You should establish what variable represents what? I recommend that.
X plus y is 3.
Do you all agree with x plus y equals 360? Okay. What about the second equation?
45x plus 45y equals 15.
Good. Please solve the system, give me the solution, and then let's check. If you remember, you have two options. Actually, you have three, but you're not going to graph, right? So either substitution or elimination. I would personally eliminate. And I will eliminate, oh, careful, careful. I wrote 3 instead of 35 here. I would personally eliminate y because I want to keep the numbers as small as possible, but it doesn't matter. We have the answer? Do we have any answer?
Yes.
Mike?
255. I don't know about.
Anyone else? Other answers, or is this good?
That's what I know.
Have we checked?
Yep.
Okay. And we move on. Any questions?
So you got that by substituting whatever.
You can substitute if you want to.
By substituting.
Yeah, from here you can substitute if you want, negative y plus 360, and you can plug it in here. 45 negative y plus 360 plus 35y equals 15150, and you find x, and you find y. Is that okay? I would like you to give me two ordered pairs. I want to determine the equation of the line passing through them. I would like to determine the distance and the midpoint between those two. Any two ordered pairs you can think of.
2 and 5.
Also put some negatives in there too.
Negative 3 and 4. And then 2 and 7.
Awesome. Perfect. So we want three things here. We want to determine the equation of the line passing through these points. We want to determine the distance between the two. And we want to find the midpoint. How do we start? What do we have to find first? The equation.
Uh,
Do you start it with the distance?
no, I was gonna start with the midpoint.
With the midpoint?
Yeah.
Fine, let's start with the midpoint. Doesn't matter. They're not connected, really. Three different things on two ordered pairs. And then how do we get the midpoint?
The average.
Very good. x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. So please add up the x's. And we get
3 and a negative 3 over 2.
so when we add up the x's, we get negative 1.
Oh.
And then negative 1 divided by 2.
Oops, I've been wrong.
That's okay. When we add up the y's, we get
Negative 3 over 2.
negative 3 over 2 indeed. So this is the midpoint. Now you want to continue with the distance or the equation?
Distance.
Distance. Okay, very good. Yes. Becky, you had a question? So the formula is you add up the x's, negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1, and you have to divide by 2. You add up the x's and divide by 2. Negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1, so it's negative 1/2. And then this is negative 3, and it's negative 3 divided by 2. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. What is the formula for the distance? x1, very good, squared plus the same thing. So carefully identify this x1, y1, and this is x2, y2, and put them under the formula and then plug them in. So 2 minus negative 3. So this is 2 and negative 3. And this is negative 7 and 4. Remember, everything under the square root must be positive. Each and every term and the answer has to be positive. So how much is 2 minus negative 3? 5 squared plus. How much is negative 7 minus 4? Negative 11 squared. So therefore the distance is the square root of 146. If I divide this by 2, I get 73. I can do anything. So this is it. This is the exact. Okay, now we are given these 2 points. We want to determine the equation of the line passing through them. How do I do that? What is the starting point?
With the slope.
Very good. I have to find the slope. The definition of the slope is y2 minus y1, or the formula if you want, x2 minus x1. So let's find the slope. Can anyone give us the slope?
12 over 5.
Yes, negative 11 divided by 5. Do we all agree with negative 11 over 5? Next, I need to find the equation, and it has to be solved for y. So what equation would I have to use? Exactly.
5 over 1.
Yes.
5 minus 5
Yes.
equals s
Very good. The slope times.
x minus.
They have to be the same, right? Good. Again, I highly recommend right underneath before you are ready to plug in. And I'm going to use negative 3, 4. You can use the other one. We are going to get the same equation. So let's work on this. Did you get the chance to take test 4 or not yet?
Kind of take
Not yet.
Okay. You have tomorrow, right? Remember they close at 2. Our final is on Tuesday from 5 to 7. You're more than welcome if you want, or if you need more time. I'll be here on Monday between 5 and 9.
So testing center closes at 2 tomorrow?
2.
Wait, what?
The testing center closes at 2 tomorrow. You want to take it on Saturday? I mean, I can extend it till Saturday for everyone.
You can just work early and go back.
Am I supposed to
Do that.
tomorrow?
Friday hours.
You want to take it on Saturday?
No, it's fine. I can just leave work and go back to work.
Okay.
So,
Can I though? Because I can't. They're short staffed.
Yeah. I mean, you can take it on Saturday.
Okay.
But I will not be able to grade it and possibly, because I'll be here by the time you finish,
Okay.
But
I'll
but
send
you
that
can
to work.
email me and say, can you scan it and email it to me? I could.
what are the hours on Saturday?
I mean, I will extend it till Saturday if that's what.
Better, I guess. Saturday is when.
Okay. Okay, do we have the equation? Have to distribute negative 11/5 minus 33 over 5, right? Negative 11 over 5 times 3 over 1, and I have to add 4. The least common denominator is 5, so this one needs a 5, correct? As we've been doing a lot lately. But I have to be very careful. Bless you. I recommend put positive in front, keep the negative 33, and then add the 20. That's the wise thing to do. Connect the negative to the numerator always. Put positive in front then. Negative 33 plus 20 is negative 13. So y equals negative 11/5 x minus 13 over 5. Another way would be to swap these two, if that confuses you. Swap these two and say 4 minus 33 over 5, and then you'll get the same answer. Okay, do we have to review function composition? F comp G, G comp F. Say it again.
Could we?
Yes, so we want an example with function composition? Okay, so please create 2 functions for me so we can determine the function composition. Any functions, please? If you don't want to choose, I will. Okay, so this is 3x squared plus 5x, and this is x minus 2. we want to determine f comp g of x and g comp f of 3. Yes? Say again? So I'm writing test including Saturday, right? That's the 9th.
Yes.
Okay. Because otherwise, if I don't do it right away, I forget. So, f comp g. By definition, this is f of g of x. You must write the definition so you remember or you're on the right track of determining this. I have to replace g of x by what am I replacing it by? What does g of x equal to?
X minus 2.
Correct. So then I have f. F says f of blah is 3 blah squared plus 5 times blah. So what do I write? 3 x minus 2 squared plus 5 times x minus 2. Awesome. Oh, you were? Good. It was? Okay. Next. Three. I want to write 3x minus 6 squared. Can I do that? Of course not. Good. Awesome. So how much is x minus 2 squared?
X squared minus 4x plus 1.
Awesome. See, once it clicks, then you will not forget it. Right. X squared minus 4x plus 4 plus 5x minus 10. And all I have to do is distribute. 3x squared minus 12x and plus 12 plus 5x minus 10. And then this is 3x squared combined like terms. What is this? Minus 7x plus 2. Very good. Now I want to determine g comp f of 3. How do I do that? How do I find g comp f of 3? By definition, this is g of f of
3.
exactly. So now I have to find this first. How much is f of 3? How much?
We want to be like.
I didn't count. Yes, you have to calculate. So 27 plus 15. 42? Awesome. So this is g of 42 then. And now I look at g. G says blah minus 2. So what is the answer?
40.
Awesome. Let's look at finding the inverse of a function. So let's say f of x equals the cube root of 2x minus 1. We are told this is a one-to-one function. Find its inverse. How do I do that?
First, change f x to y.
Awesome. This is the first step. Y equals the cube root of 2x minus 1.
And then you switch x.
Yes, I have to, because y for f becomes x for f inverse. Awesome. The cube root of 2y minus 1. Very good. What now?
So for y.
Very good. How do I solve for y? What type of equation is this? Good. How do I solve?
Cube both sides.
Very good. The left-hand side is x cubed. The right-hand side is? Perfect. In order to solve for y? Yes? Final step.
Place y with x.
Yes. That's why, because this becomes f inverse now. Very good. Awesome. Let's look at absolute value inequalities. Let's solve, let's say, 7x minus 3 minus 4 greater than or equal to 6. How do I solve this? Remember, absolute value inequalities have only two categories. They're only divided up in two categories. This one is one, and this is the other.
You have to add 4 to both sides.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I have to do that because it's part of the cleaning up process. Good. So I have 7x minus 3 greater or equal to 10. Now, remember, you cannot touch this. Untouchable. You can convert it and in order to solve it. What do I convert this into? It all depends whether it's this or this.
7x minus 3 is greater than equal to 10. And 7x minus 3 less than equal to negative 10.
Awesome. To the right-hand side of 10 or to the left-hand side of negative 10. Very good. I know how to solve these. I have 7x greater or equal to 13 and x greater or equal to 13 seventh. I know how to solve the second one. 7x less than or equal to negative 7 divided by 7, x less than or equal to negative 1. Remember, this is the difficult one of the two in which the solution has to have the union. So, how do I write the solution?
Parentheses, negative infinity to negative 1.
Awesome.
Bracket,
Yes.
bracket 13 sevenths to infinity.
Good. Okay. What about the other one? Let's say I have this. The absolute value of x minus 2 less than or equal to 3. This is the easy one. because it's in between. How do I convert it? Again, untouchable. You cannot do anything to it. You cannot add 2. You can't touch this. So
negative less than or equal to x minus 2 less than or equal to
so the only thing that we need to do here is
10.
add 2. Negative 1 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 5. So the interval notation, this is easy. I don't have to use the union. It's right there in front of me. Negative 1 comma 5. Please choose a quadratic equation to complete the square. Say it again. Yes. 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 It's the same. It's the from the previous. So yes. These are these two ordered pairs. Yes. Yes. Okay. So a quadratic equation, please. Minus 6? Awesome. Very good. We want to complete the square. The question is asking us to solve the equation by completing the square. The procedure, it's again a 4-step procedure. Number 1, what do I need to do? You want to add 6 to both sides? Okay. But I was talking about the procedure, but that's fine. You want to do that first? It's okay. First step, I need to identify
B.
Yes, which is?
20.
Right. 20. Divide that by 2. Very good. Square that. Good. This is what I have to add to both sides. So this is x squared plus 20x plus 100 equals 6 plus 100. So now I know Riley thought that I was in the business of putting eye drops in people's eyes. No, I saw him when he hurt his eye. I was right here looking at him. You didn't see it.
No, I didn't.
I
All
know.
I saw was like you run it over and it looks like
Right.
putting eye drops in.
Right,
All right, cool.
because he hurt his eye. I saw him crying almost. And then I said, I have to help him because I've been there
I
before.
wouldn't say
That's so
crying.
Almost. Almost. It's so painful. So I didn't mean to. No, I was here. I was just looking at it. Otherwise, I would have not noticed, but I was just looking at him. Yeah. Good. On the left-hand side, we have an agreement for 3 months and a half. We complete the square, but we couldn't really finish. So what do I have to do next? Yes, I have no choice. So this is x plus 10 equals? Right. If you forget plus or minus, that will be, you're not going to solve. You're not going to find both solutions. And the final step is x equals negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 106. Very good. Do we need to practice the quadratic formula? Okay, so let's give me an let's work on the same problem with the quadratic formula. X equals negative b negative 20 plus or minus the square root of. Very good. Minus 4 times a times c divided by 2a. So x equals negative 20 plus or minus. So this is 400, right? 400 plus 24. 424 divided by 2. I have to look at 424 and see if I can simplify it based on chapter 10, right? So the square root of 424 is definitely 4 multiplied by, well, look at that, 106. So this is nothing else but 2 the square root of 106. To go back and replace the square root of 424 by 2 the square root of 106. And stop for 1 second. If I see this, you will make me cry. That does it. I'm going to chase you around the block. No, you're not supposed to do that. No. So please do not do that.
Oh wait, but like at the end.
If you separate it, or if you factor, that does it.
Well, because like on the online thing, like when you do it like that, it says it's.
No, you separate it and simplify, or factor. So you can write this, negative 20 over 2 plus or minus 2 the square root of 106 over 2. And now you can simplify. This is negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 106, and this is what we got. The other option is to factor. So you can factor 2, negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 106 over 2. And yes, now you can, because you're simplifying a factor. And you get the same thing, right? So x is still negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 106. Okay, let's look at a radical equation. Ready? Let's say x minus the square root of 4 minus 3x equals negative 8. How do we do this? How do we solve a radical equation?
Radical of x.
It is mandatory to isolate the radical first. You can't square in this setting. You are not going to get anything. I recommend, because the radical has a minus sign in front and the negative 8, I recommend do this. It will save you a little bit of time. Not a lot, but a little bit. So x plus 8 equals the square root of 4 minus 3x. Let's take 1 minute and do this. Can anyone tell us what to do next? Just steer us in the correct direction. Not the wrong direction, I'm sorry.
That's very well said.
Yes, and please remember, you are not allowed to square term by term. It's the left-hand side together, all terms as a whole, and the right-hand side separate. So what do we get on the left-hand side? Very good. Awesome. And the right-hand side?
4 minus 3x.
Very good. We know how to solve this. It's a quadratic, set it equal to 0, use anything you want. If factoring takes you too long, then you have the quadratic formula. Of course, you're not going to complete the square and take the square root. That's way too much, too long. So what is the equation now, after we move everything to one side?
X squared plus 19x plus 60 equals 0.
You want to try and factor it? Yes? Okay.
15.
Good. So x plus 15 and x plus 4. So there are two possibilities. X equals or negative 4. Is this good enough? No. What do I have to do now? Yes. Because remember, this is the only option we have, but the answers may not work in the original problem. That is that potential risk. So do they both work? None or just one? Which one is it?
Negative 4.
Negative 4, yes. Negative 15 does not. I agree. Let's rationalize the denominator. Let's say 2 the square root of 5 plus 1 over the square root of 3 minus 4 the square root of 7. We want to rationalize the denominator on this. How do we do it? Give me the starting point, and then I'll let you work on it.
Multiply by square root of 3 plus
The conjugate of the denominator. Awesome. Yes. And remember, this is another formula that we discussed from day one. What other formula? And we also reviewed it in chapter 6. A minus b times a plus b equals
a squared plus
the positive does not factor.
minus.
Yes, be very careful. The positive is not factorable. Remember those 4 formulas for chapter 6, binomials? The sum is not factorable. The difference is. I encourage you to use the formula when you write the denominator. Of course, you can FOIL and then simplify. It's up to you. But I recommend use the formula or the special product. So the first term squared. Awesome. Because it's a difference, I have to write minus. The second term squared, but the second term has 2 factors. I have to square each. Okay, what do I get?
16 plus 7.
Times 7. Multiply.
Yeah.
Right. Good. So now the rest, the top has to be distributed. This times this. 2. That's it. This times this. Plus 8, the square root of 35. Right? 2 times 4 is 8, the square root of 5 times the square root of 7 is the square root of 35. Correct? 1 times this. And 1 times this. All I would have to do is simplify this. And just the numerator cannot be simplified. So what do we get in the denominator?
Negative 109.
Good. So I will put negative in front. 109, and I will just copy the numerator. That's it. Let's look at this squared. X the square root of 5 plus 3y. How many terms will you write? 3 terms, awesome. So let's square the first term. What do we get? So it's x squared and then 5. So 5x squared indeed. Plus. It's 2, right? 2 times the first times the second will be 6xy the square root of 5. 2 times 3 is 6 times x times y times the square root of 5. We have to put the square root of 5 at the end. And then the last one plus, that is easy, yeah. Good, let's look at a right triangle. Let's say this is y, unknown. Let's say this is 3, the square root of 3, and let's say this is the square root of 5. And this is the right triangle. So I would like to determine one side, which in this case is the leg, y. What do I have to write? And please don't say squared plus b squared is equals c squared, because I don't know which one is the leg, which one is the hypotenuse. So we have to specifically say what we have to write for this situation. What will you dictate? Just tell me what you would write.
Y squared
Awesome.
plus the square root of 5 squared
Very good.
equals 3 squared.
Very good. So the sum of the shortest sides, which will always be the legs, where the right angle is, always. The sum of these two always equal the longest side squared. Okay, good. So let's solve for y. How many solutions will you give? Right. However, one of them in this case is not applicable. Which one? The negative, because we're talking about a distance. Awesome. So let's find y. So we have y squared plus equals. Careful how you square 3 the square root of 3. Remember, you have to square this, and you have to square this, and then multiply them. 27. We agree? So then y squared equals 22. And I have to take the square root. The correct answer would be y equals plus or minus the square root of 22. And then I will cross it out, and I'll say only y equals the square root of 22. Any questions? Let's look at solving a polynomial inequality, like negative x plus 1, x minus 4, less than or equal to 0. Let's review that. Do you remember the mechanism here, or what is the procedure, what we do here? Awesome. When is this 0? When x is 0. When is this 0? And when is this 0? 4. I recommend this chart. The method in the book is fine. However, it has a minor flaw. So be careful with that method. Good. X is the variable in the problem. And then the first factor is negative x. The next factor is x plus 1. The last factor is x minus 4. And the product. So no method works unless we have a product or a ratio and 0 on the other. If it's the book or my method. Okay. Which numbers go in the chart? Because we only have 3, but they have to be in ascending order. Very good. Negative 1, 0, and 4. Next. I have to present the 0 for this factor, which is under
0.
Have to present the 0 for this factor, which is under, and obviously for x equals 4. And what happens to the product? I have to establish what happens to the product when either of those 3 factors is 0. The product will be 0. Good. As you notice, these two are lines with a positive slope. They come from negative, they will cross the x-axis and go positive. So negative, cross the x-axis, and then go to the positive, and then they will never come back. This one has a negative slope, which means it's coming from positive, crosses the x-axis, and goes negative. Or you just plug in a number, whatever you want. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 subintervals. Therefore, I only have to count the negatives. In the first subinterval, I have 2 negatives. What is the sign of the product? Perfect. In the next subinterval, I only count a negative. Negative. In the next one, I count 2 negatives again. And in the last one, I count negative. Now I'm done. I studied the sign. I know exactly when the product is positive and negative. But now I'm asking myself, which sign do I pick? Which sign is less than or equal to 0? Negative. So is the product ever negative? Yes, right here and right here. But I'm interested in what x should be for the product to be negative. So that's how I write the solution, x in the interval.
Bracket.
Exactly, because there is a 0, yes. Negative 1, comma 0. And union
Bracket for it.
to infinity. Awesome. Any questions? Any questions? Let's look at few log equations and exponential equations. Let's say I want to find log base 3 of 27. I have no idea what this is. Well, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to say it's a number y. Why I do that is because I remember the most important concept in this chapter 12 that says any log equation can be converted, can be replaced, can be changed into an exponential equation. Which equation?
3 raised to the y.
This is more human, right? As long as I can make 27 with the same base, I'm in business. But can I make 27 with the same base? 3 to the y equals 3 to the third. Remember, we are not simplifying, we are not reducing or whatever. We are saying this. 2 numbers are equal and they have the same base. For this to happen, what has to happen to their exponents?
That's
They must be the same. So then y must equal 3, and that's my answer. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, let's look at log base 7 of 1. Same idea. I have no clue, but I'm going to call it y, and I'm going to change this into an exponential equation. How do I do that?
7 raised to y.
Very good. 7 raised to y equals 1. And now all I have to do is think. Because I can make 7 and 1 with the same base, but I can think and say, what do I raise 7 to get 1?
0.
Awesome. Indeed. There is only one answer. Y equals 0. Let's say I'm asked to find natural log of 3. Even in this case, even if I write that this equals y and I change it into an exponential equation, I can come up with an answer. How do I change this into an exponential equation? I don't see any base. But the base of natural log is e. E raised to y equals 3. I don't know in this class how to solve this. I have to wait till the next class. So all I'm asked to do is just plug it in. Okay? So in natural log 3, close the parenthesis, I got 1.09861. Let's look at an equation now. Exponential. 4 raised to 2x minus 1 equals 8 raised to x plus 2.